Hi, good morning. I'm going to make a focaccia. Let's do this.
Okay, so I'm going to do my best here. In your bowl, you need to add 340 grams of plain white flour. And to your flour, you're going to mix in 1 teaspoon of coarse salt. If you got table salt, just use a half teaspoon because it's a bit stronger. Then you're going to weigh out 310 grams of blood temperature water. You should be able to stick your finger into the water and not really feel much difference. Pretty much lukewarm. Add in 3 to 4 grams of the active dry yeast. You can use the sachets or the canister. Put it straight in. Don't use a metal fork like I did. I'm a douchebag. Just use a plastic one or use your finger. Metal tends to react poorly with yeast and it might kill it. We don't want that, so give it a good stir. Sit it aside for 10 minutes and it's going to form this kind of scum on top. That's what you want. Okay, so 10 minutes has passed. We're going to throw in our rosemary into the focaccia, whatever herb you want really. I'm just using this packet stuff and the rosemary's already in. Just mix it around with your hand and we're going to add in our bloomed yeast water mix. It has this kind of foamy stuff on top. That's how you know it's ready. So don't leave any of this behind. This is leftover yeast. It hasn't gone into the water. It's going to help the rise. So just get in with your hand straight up and give it a good mix. And we want to try and get rid of all the lumps out of the mixture and make it smooth. Don't be afraid. This is fun for the kiddies to do. And do this kind of like scoop around the bowl and over on top. Really good mix. So go ahead and finish mixing up that bowl until there's no lumps left and it's nice and smooth, and then scrape whatever you have left off. Don't worry about cleaning your bowl and wrap it with cling film or a wax wrap. Okay, so this has been resting for 30 minutes now. And there's some little air pockets that are starting to form. That's good. That's how you know that the yeast is active and eating. So we're going to perform now 4 stretch and folds, and we'll do this 4 times. So wet your hand and we're going to go in from the bottom and the side, stretch it and pull it over to the other side. We're going to do this in 4 places. Now you're just going to replace the wax wrap in cling film and leave it for another 30 minutes. Okay, so here we are at fold 2. You'll see when we start to stretch that the consistency of the dough is already completely different from the first time. It's starting to get structure, and that's from this stretch and fold method. So we're just going to repeat what we did the first time, outside to the other side, 4 folds, replace your wrap, another 30 minutes. Okay, so here we are, fold number 3, almost there. So you're going to notice now that it's really starting to get going. There's going to be a lot of air pockets and stuff like that. So we're just going to go straight in with our third 4 fold. And you really want to start shaking and stretching out as much as the dough will allow this time and bringing it right over the other side. That's going to create a much stronger gluten structure inside the bread, and that's going to help it to be more chewy and delicious. So wrap it back up and we'll be back for our 4th fold. Okay, we have reached our final stretch and fold, number 4. So this guy has been so busy. I don't know if you can see all of those bubbles in there, but this is exactly what we want. It's kicking. So we're about to finish off our 4th stretch and fold, stretching the dough to its maximum capacity. And then we're going to wrap it for the last 30 minutes in the bowl before we turn it out and make our actual loaf of focaccia. Okay, so here we are at the second last step of making this amazing focaccia. So you're going to preheat your oven to 250 degrees Celsius before you do anything. We're going to take a flat sheet tray and generously grease that with olive oil, rubbing it into the base and into the sides, and this is going to help the focaccia release once it's finished cooking. Okay, so now we're going to gently scoop out the dough out of the bowl. Careful not to pop any of those air bubbles that we've created. They're going to help with the dough rising and having those really distinctive traditional holes that a focaccia has. Using the oil you already have on your hands, just go ahead and oil your hands up and stretch out the dough nice and gently, still trying not to pop any of those bubbles, and you're just trying to stretch it out until it reaches each edge and corner of your tray, making sure it's as even as possible in shape. So now we're going to take a piece of plastic wrap and generously spray it with oil and cover it, just touching the top of your bread. You don't need to pull tension, it's just to create a skin. We're going to let that rest for 30 minutes. When the 30 minutes is up, we're going to take away the plastic wrap gently, not to rip it, and we're going to dimple the focaccia with some wet fingers and give it a generous drizzle with olive oil. This is going to help it colour up in the oven and also to form a really nice crust. Then we're just going to top with some flaky salt and anything else you might want. You can use cherry tomatoes or Parmesan cheese. I'm using some gorgeous fine tomatoes. Put it in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes at 250 degrees. And I'm glad we made it this far, because if you did,